Okay, so Runeterra, for those that haven't seen it, is Riot's all-digital card game based on the League of Legends IP. Much like Magic, we play a lot of viewer submissions here as well. This is a mid-range deck that we're playing here, which for those of you that are not familiar with what mid-range is as an archetype, mid-range refers to an archetype that is controlling against aggressive decks, but is aggressive against controlling or ramp decks. So Leona is a champion out of the latest third set here that leverages the Daybreak mechanic. So Daybreak cards get a bonus if they are explicitly the first card you've played in a turn. So if Leona's the first card you play in a turn, she stuns the strongest enemy. And then she levels up when you've activated Daybreak 4+ times over the course of a game. And her leveled mode's a little bit bigger, and it stuns the strongest enemy anytime anything you do triggers Daybreak. So, Daybreak is on a variety of cards such as Solari Soldier, which gives itself a temporary bonus, or Shield Breaker. There's also a card like Solari Priestess. I think this is one of the best Daybreak cards of the game, just a good generically powerful card. This uses the Invoke mechanic, which lets you... Invoke is kind of a way to have sideboard-ish effects in best-of-1 games, which is neat. So it invokes a Celestial card that costs 4, 5, or 6. Celestial cards are things that you cannot collect or put in your deck. They are powerful cards from the specific pool of 20 cards. So when you're invoking or when your opponent is invoking, you always kind of know the range of what they're expecting to get. So Solari Priestess, for example, gives you 3 of these 6 things to pick from, which range from powerful interaction to threats like the Golden Sister here that can close games out. So you kind of get what you need depending on the situation that you're in. And then the other champion in this deck is one of my favorites. Lux says, when I've seen you cast 6+ total mana worth of spells, level me up and create a Final Spark. So Lux is a very good controlling champion. So Final Sparks are free cards that you have to play the turn you generate them, and they deal 4 damage to an enemy. So Lux is very good at helping you keep the board in check. She also has a barrier when she comes into play, which means she doesn't take damage the turn you play her out, so she's very good at stonewalling aggressive decks or staying alive against damage-based removal, so you at least get her for a turn to level her up. Alright, let's go ahead and dive on into some games here with this, and see how it goes. Oh no, I have 2 Lux Leona decks. Which is the one I just imported? I think the Bilgewater's one's the one I just imported. I like that it didn't yell at me that I have 2 decks with the same name. It's like 2 decks with the same name is not a big deal. God bless you, reasonable software. Pick some of my friends here. Use the Daybreak thing. Sounds good. Yep, emotes look great. If you cast Remembrance at a discount, does it count for Lux level? It does not. So whatever you cast Lux at, whatever you cast Remembrance at, that's the amount of spell that counts towards that. Hey, Poo Poo Kitty, thanks for the quarter of a year. I appreciate that. Welcome back. That reminds me, let's turn sub mode off since we're shifting over to Runeterra. Welcome to everybody that's hanging out for this segment. So I always explain all of these things every day. Yeah, usually. I also give like a base level explanation of like what decks do in the intro segment too fairly frequently. So Sajani Gangplank, you get to see your opponent's champions and regions when you start. So this is an aggressive deck. Probably don't want Hush in this matchup. Both Solari Soldier and Shield Breaker are great cards to stunt their initial aggressive start. And Remembrance is very good for creating a large blocker at some point. So I'm going to keep these 3 and mulligan just the Hush. Hey, I'm glad you're enjoying it, Organic Chicken. Runeterra is definitely my favorite card game right now. This is a 2/2 that gets bigger permanently if they dealt damage to me, which is why they played Warning Shot. I'll go ahead and play Solari Soldier here, so that way they don't have good attacks this turn. They won't attack into this because this bonus goes away. So they don't want to trade their 3/3 from I think that will be a 2/2.
My faith protects me.
This has a temporary boost as well, so I get pretty much a free attack here. They're not going to choose to block because this is going to go down to a 3-2 here in a second. Fantastic curve here. So we drew Solari Priestess into Leona, which is about all you really want to be doing in this deck. So we get to play Daybreak cards on 1, 2, 3, 4, and then play leveled Leona right away. Falling Comet sounds great as an answer to whatever their first champion is. And then we have It's Always Sunny in Hoaglandia here to follow it up. So this kind of breaks that Daybreak requirement where we get to Daybreak multiple times per turn. What are cheaper decks that are still pretty competitive? Well, so the Runeterra economy in general is very consumer friendly. So like the normal stock best decks cost like 25 bucks. If you want something that's even cheaper than that, the Jinx's Entreat deck on my site is super reasonable, and it costs about 15 bucks to build. Probably less than that, because you get a couple of Jinxes for free, right? So, this thing's actually super annoying and means I really don't have great attacks. So it creates these powder monkeys every turn. Yeah, the Runeterra economy is super friendly. There's no random card packs. You literally just buy coins and then get exactly the cards you want. So this thing's ephemeral, which means it's going away anyway. So I think I just pass the turn here rather than attack my things into something that's gonna kill itself at end of turn. Runeterra is a card game first and not something that's just trying to sell loot boxes for a company. Okay, so he is real big, but thankfully she's gonna stun their biggest thing. So we get to go ahead and play Daylight Spear here, which triggers her, which lets me stun big boy here. My opponent's champion levels up when they deal damage to my things over my Nexus over a few turns. The ephemeral card is silenced. Does it survive the round? It does into the Frozen Sky. Yeah, our curve was very, very good here. I think I'm going to go ahead and trade my 1-2 for their 2-1 here. Basically just cashing this in to gain 2 life, and I think that's worthwhile against their aggressive strategy. Although I suppose I have Leona's Morning Light next turn. Maybe I do just take that, actually, and next turn we go, like, Solari Soldier into Morning Light. Yeah, I'm a liar, actually. Let's do that. So this triggers the Daybreak effect on all of my cards. So, like, yeah. Okay, Solari Soldier triggers Daybreak, stuns this. Sunlight blinds. And then when we play Morning Light here, it's going to make all these things bigger till end of turn, and then it's also going to trigger all their Daybreak effects, and all of these have Daybreak effects. What are the decks I'm having the most fun with? So I actually added a Runeterra decks page to my website, and if you go up there, I think there's 5 recommendations up there. 2 mid-range decks, 2 aggro decks, and a control deck that are all ones I like a lot. And it even lists the exact price of each of them underneath, because it's super easy to calculate how much decks cost, because this game's not trying to fleece you for every dollar that you have. It just wants you to be able to get a good experience and play the game. Yeah, this is, so normally Daybreak only triggers on your first card each turn, but It's Always Sunny in Hoaglandia lets you trigger it multiple times per turn. Yeah, that's true too. If you spend $100 on Runeterra, all the decks on my site end up being cheaper too, because the price point of the decks on my website assumes that you're buying currency at the $5 currency package, which is the cheapest rate. Or the $10 package, whatever it is. Yeah, the $5 maybe marginally worse. Our curve deck game was disgusting. Disgusting. So there isn't. So the date on that tournament link is wrong. I'm really kind of annoyed with the people that are putting this tournament on because they're super disorganized and don't have any information readily available. It makes me feel disorganized by association. So that information for the tournament is correct, but the day is wrong on it.
Ours is the one true light.
Clad in shining sunlight.
I appreciate the invite to their event, but I wish they were more organized about their event. All right, so this looks like the Mono Demacia Elite deck. I mean, the Runeterra cosmetics are actually incredibly cheap compared to Arena cosmetics. Like, it costs $6 for one borderless mythic on Arena. So, like, in comparison, paying $10 for a game board is, like, super cheap.
The dawn has arrived.
On curve Leona level again here. Running hot. That's true. The board does determine your music. Maybe we'll change boards for the next game to showcase some of the different music they have.
Answer to me.
I'm not attacking with this because this 2/2 is tough. So I'd prefer that they don't get to eat this. And crafting a deck, is there a preference using wildcards versus shards? It is always optimal to craft from the top down when using the different currencies in this game.
Ready to do my part. I'll turn the tide.
So you should always craft using wildcards, then shards, then coins. Your currencies that you use to craft are least to most efficient from the top down. That's basically how it works. The eye over here tells me how combat's going to work. So with these blocks, those 6 things are going to die. And then I'm going to go to 14, which is fine. I'm then going to get to go ahead and play out Radiant Guardian here as a 5/5 with Lifesteal and Tough.
I fight for the fallen.
This is normally a 5/5 for 5, but it gets bigger if you had an ally die this round. Single combat, those two fight, sure.
My story ends. The sun is shining. We should too.
We should too.
Show them what we're made of.
That's a little annoying. Alright, so I can go ahead and I get a free attack with Lux here because she has a barrier, and barrier goes away at the end of turn. So I might as well attack. They're going to 3, sure. Ooh, that's a real good one. So she comes into play. She triggers Daylight. She stuns Sithra here. Yep, but no longer has good attacks.
Soul Invictus.
Soul Invictus. This deck seems really good against these aggressive decks. Especially when we've had Leona on curve twice now, so like, what game board do we want? What kind of music do I want this morning? Let's do Jinx's board. How much of a whale am I in this game? So, I had been whaling a good bit, and then before this most recent set came out, Riot actually gave me a ton of wild cards. Like, I probably don't have to buy actual cards for like the next 2 or 3 sets, just as a thank you for me making content for their game, because they support their creators, which is sweet. So I'm on the plate, and we actually haven't really talked about spell mana. So if you're still hanging out for the magic portion, something that's really sweet in this game is that you can carry mana over turn to turn. So even though I don't have a 1-drop this game, this 1 mana is not going to go away. It's going to get saved. You can save up to 3 extra mana across turns in this game, but the extra mana that you're saving can only be used to play spells. It can't be used to play followers or champions. So this is really powerful with cards like Remembrance because it lets us play Remembrance on turn 3 by saving our mana on the first 2 turns, like I'm going to do here. You see my opponent bank their mana on turn 2. Maybe once they actually release it, Chef Seth, they seem to go pretty slow on their timelines. So I don't think I'd mind talking through something like that on stream at some point once it like actually goes live. I would love the dragon here. The 4/5 Challenger Dragon's probably our best hit. So this card is a little bit of controlled variance. It summons a random 5-cost Demacia follower, but there's only 5 of those, and all of them are very reasonable. 2 of them have the Challenger mechanic, which means they can force something to block them. Another one is Radiant Guardian. This is one of the Challengers there in Swiftwing Lancer. I think our archetype is very good. I think if you like the champions and the cards in here, I think this is a very safe craft.
We shall pierce their treasonous hearts.
I'm just gonna go ahead and trade for their Kalista here. I'm fine with that. It's not a super resource efficient trade, but killing their champion is a pretty high priority. All but 1 have 5 power, and all but 1 have 5 toughness. Yeah. Yep.
We weren't expecting callers.
My faith protects me.
Do I single combat to deny their draw 2? I think so. So this tries to kill their thing to draw 2 cards, so if I kill it first, their thing doesn't work. They had another draw 2, but that's fine. We still negated this one. So I assume they're just going to pass here since this is big. I'm going to go ahead and start the turn by attacking here, because if they trade with this in combat, I get to play Radiant Guardian out as a lifesteal unit. Yeah, you should be able to, Lord Odin. The sub-timber discount should be available to anybody who's used Prime or sub-gifts before. Basically, if you've never been a paid sub.
Warriors of the Raharat, our time is now.
We'll follow you to the edge of daybreak.
To the edge of daybreak. The game ends in a draw if the 40th turn is reached or 90 minutes. Really?
There you are.
Hey, I appreciate that, Odin. I'm gonna go ahead and play Solari Soldier out here as just another blocker. This leaves me 5 mana still, which means I can still Radiant Guardian after they kill this inside of combat. And we know they're going to attack here because they have a bunch of ephemeral units.
Power before our might.
So ephemeral means these die at end of turn or when they deal damage. This is going to hit me and then it's going to disappear. I have to go ahead and drop Radiant Guardian here. It's just a fat fat, wonderful unit. Sure, maybe I'm supposed to play around Unspeakable Horrors and block the 3/3 instead of the 4/3 with that. So, my opponent has 7 mana here, which means they could play They Who Endure this turn, so I'm going to start by attacking. Because if I start my turn by attacking, my opponent cannot add more units to the board before blockers. So hoping to get a hit in with this to gain 5.
Give them a chance.
Okay. And they're killing their thing before damage, so I don't get to gain 5, unfortunately. I think we just play It's Always Sunny in Hoaglandia here. Oh yeah, Sunburst does kill They Who Endure, doesn't it? That's sick.
Daylight everlasting.
Solari control all the Hawamp touches.
Unyielding light.
I think I play this out now, so that way they have a worse open attacks next turn. It loses the bonus, obviously, but all these consecrated strikes with Radiant Guardian also means my life total is sneakily more than it says right now. Would I ever consider a Runeterra Hoots? Yeah. So the creators of MTG Melee said they plan to support Runeterra by next year. And once we have a good platform for doing that, that's definitely something I want to do. So without an in-client tournament mode, the logistics of running the tournament are just a little bit too tough
This here.
without something like MTG Melee.
You cannot sway me. Fall, heretic.
What do you think? Is this a concession strike? Feels like this is going to be a concession strike, right? So we'll strike you, and you will strike you, and you. So they were taking this attack to level their Kalista. That's fine. You're going to kill my Always Sunny. That doesn't matter. Your board's going... You're losing your entire board, and I'm going to 17. Felt very good. So you get to bank 1 mana here, so we have 10 mana total. I would love a Falling Comet, because I think the only way we lose this game at this point is a They Who Endure.
You will be scoured from this land.
So I'd like many answers to They Who Endure.
To get me out of here.
The board's playing music, it's just lower than the sound effects. This card just like gained us a casual 15 this game. Maybe I should have played Vanguard Squire out there. Probably. Oh yeah. Alright, so no longer losing to They Who Endure.
Everyone's a garden.
Everyone's a garden.
Still so much to learn. Strike for justice.
They're saplings.
Yeah, Lux would end this game very quickly. That is accurate. It's always sunny in Hoaglandia, chat.
Our sun will not set today.
Don't you love when your card that draws a card draws a card that draws a card?
Bask in her radiant blessing.
In the particular instance where I attacked last turn, there really was not a benefit to the way in which I ordered my attackers. And this is why I don't like Invoke. Can you be more specific as to why you don't like Invoke?
Let the light guide you. Let's brighten up their day.
Too many options. Oh, I just took that game and threw it in the garbage can. Holy fuck. Holy shit. God damn it.
Losing is just an opportunity to shine even
Oh, I started by going to attackers. I started by going to attackers. I was like, no, wait, I want to kill some of their stuff first and get my Lux. So they had a fling there effectively. They played Atrocity. They played They Who Endure with plenty of mana up. I found the lose condition and executed it beautifully. Yeah, I drew the Lux and I was like, oh, I want to get value off of Lux, and Atrocity just like wasn't even on my mind. Definitely deserved to lose that. How did you beat that? We had a hush in our hand. If we hush them, if we hush their thing, it becomes a 1/1 in response. That was the lose condition. I'm just gonna keep all these. You could maybe make an argument to mulligan Remembrance looking for Leona, since we could level her on curve, but I think this card's just good enough to keep. Yeah, we were super far ahead there, and there was no reason to expose myself to that. We deserved to lose that. Threw it in the garbage can.
Follow the horizon.
In the words of the greatest poet of our generation, chat, you just gotta shake it off and move along to the next one, huh? Am I liking this list more than Ash Lux? Not really. This list also doesn't fit into my lineup like Lux Ash does. This deck feels less aggressive / less combo-y than the Lux Ash list. And again, one of the things that players really don't seem to get too is that this deck doesn't have to be strictly better or strictly worse than the Lux Ash deck, right, chat? Like, just because they overlap a champion doesn't mean they're the same thing. Like, in a well-balanced card game that has a diverse selection of competitive decks, things can have some overlapping cards, but just be different from each other. Have slightly different percentages and slightly different matchups. Have different play patterns that different people enjoy. It's not like Magic where you play Uro or you're stupid. Where you register Muxus or Phyrexian Tower, you're putting yourself behind. I kind of like Written in the Stars, so we can snag a Leona with that potentially.
guide you, my brethren.
Got a surprise for him.
So here's a good example of the priority and resource system in Runeterra. So my opponent passed here, and now I get the option to pass as well. And if I pass, the round ends. And I think it's right for me to pass here because I think my deck is probably more favored as this game goes long with Lux and Leona in my deck. And more importantly here, when I end the round, I bank 3 mana, losing 1. They only bank 1 mana, losing 3. So ending the round here causes my opponent to lose resource efficiency. In addition to, I think, extending the game being in my favor.
The dawn has arrived.
Carry her lights across.
Oh, she didn't trigger Daybreak because she wasn't the first card I played. That's the downside to passing there. I think that's still correct, though.
Deal me in.
Probably a small punt on my part.
Feel the sun's glory. You got
So,
use up.
if I play a burst card waffle, my opponent gets a chance to do stuff. The turn only ends when both players pass. So playing the burst spell there would have meant that they would have gotten a chance to do something. Do I just play Lux here and get her going? I think so, right?
Everywhere I go, the light follows.
It's like checking in poker. That's actually a really good comparison. It's been a long time since I played Hold'em, so that wasn't one on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, I like that comparison a lot. It's very similar to checking in poker. I thought burst didn't pass priority. So bursting doesn't pass priority, but it's also not you doing nothing, Waffle. So you're correct that it doesn't pass priority, but it also doesn't do what you're thinking it does and allows me to end the turn. So playing a burst spell and then passing gives priority back to your opponent. So I have just a ton of choices here. I could Remembrance to try and level Lux. The problem with Remembrancing here is that they could kill this in response, right? What do they have that could kill this in response? Is it nothing? Do I need to hold Bastion up? I only have 8 mana, so I can't Remembrance and Bastion. It could be right to just always Sunny and level Leona. I think I like that.
Our sun will not set today.
I am the bulwark against darkness.
I think I like being conservative here.
Vision to see what others cannot.
So now I have 11 mana available, so I can Remembrance into other things here.
Bring these lands to their
So I need to kill this, right? How do we feel about Star Shaping plus Consecrated Strike this turn? I think I like it.
La 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 la. La 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 la.
I could double Consecrated Strike too. Yeah, maybe that's better. I could strike this and then I can what's it called? Blast this. And then they're down to just these two. I think I like that.
Who's fallen for blood?
Your board looks like Elsa from an alternate universe. Yeah, I actually really like the very like Disney-esque IP that Runeterra has. This is going to level my Lux and make me a Final Spark.
I will break Empire above all.
I don't think that's a very big deal, right? Like, I think I'm pretty okay with that.
My legacy.
I've been hiding my light too long.
And then Final Spark's gonna get to blast Twisted Fate into next week.
For the next kill.
A beacon through the dark.
Lux was designed, yeah, but her animation, like her artwork style in this game, is has that same feel to it. I think we just Remembrance to start, right? Just try and generate a Final Spark here. So she makes us a Final Spark every time we cast 6+ total mana worth of spells.
No more holding back.
Yeah, I agree, Lacarp. I like that the IP in this game explicitly isn't anime. Not that there's anything strictly wrong with anime, I just enjoy the artwork here much better. Falling Comet is stellar. Triggers Lux and gets rid of their big things. That's gonna end the round. That's a great draw. This is a burst card, so they get to go ahead and toss 2 and then draw 2. We'll see what they do. Wouldn't be surprised to see them open attacks with the zap here.
Let's do this. Like a fish in water.
So now they're gonna attack us for 4 before we can blast one of these into last week, I assume. Watch for X. Yeah, they're only at 5 mana here, so we're okay. I think I Bastion Lux here to save her. I think I like just getting in this mana. Keeps Raven's Flock off her back. Yeah, I think they very likely have Flock. Guillotine 2 is also another good one, yep.
By the light.
Okay, so... Wow, that's a good draw. Do we just open on attacks here, then?
Illuminate the enemy. It's new. Sorry. Why are you here?
So, Flock can only kill something if it's damaged or stunned. So when I Star Shaping here, she gets healed. Which then means that she's no longer a legal target for Ravenous Flock, which is great. So she takes nothing. They can respond with something like that, and then I get to respond with Bastion. So again, she's taking nothing. Okay, that's gonna get Lux off the table for him finally. This is probably the game, right? This gives everything, everywhere, +2/+2.
Our strength is forever at its zenith.
Blessed daylight surrounds you.
Raise your weapon, Sunwood.
Raise your weapon, Sunwood. God, Star Shaping's a good draw as a just in case. What is Behold? Behold means you have to have one of those cards in your hand or in play. So I had this, which is another Celestial card in my hand, so we technically beheld the Celestial. So that, Cosmic Inspiration is definitely one of our stronger effects there. But it only works because we had other things. Nice. They could have blocked with the powder. No, those can't block. They're vulnerable, so you frequently see people pull them to make them block, but the kegs can't block. The kegs only get into combat if the person attacking wants them to. Yeah, Invoke is very similar to having access to a sideboard, it feels like a lot of the time. Orion, Sol, Demacian, Targets. Yeah, this is the Dragons deck. I think I'm supposed to mulligan looking for an aggro curve. This is pretty good, right? This is 2 day breaks. Perfect. So we'll have on curve Leona here.
Devotion to battle.
This is exactly the kind of hand I was mulliganing for.
Shroud the world in wings, unyielding light.
So I think I start the turn by attacking here. This makes their dragons cheaper, so they could have the 4-cost 4/4 Fury to play this turn. Yeah, that one. Don't want to attack into that one. Huh? I feel like I probably don't have time for Written in Stars, huh?
Bask in her radiant
I'm gonna take the sisters. Fury is double strike. Fury is this thing gets bigger every time it kills something.
My faith protects me. The dawn has arrived. With its light, the Solari behold the divine power of the sun.
How do you feel about Lux Acel? I really like the aggressive slant this deck has. Leona on curve has been responsible for a lot of our game wins. Yeah, Scooter, this game is the most visually appealing card game I have ever played. It's very, very well done. This is probably the only thing on the market right now that I would consider a true video game card game.
We will not suffer unbelief.
Most champions have a level up animation comparable to that. It's gorgeous. This game is the most visually appealing of any card game I've played. It has the most consumer-friendly business model. Like, if they get their set releases out on time, this game's gonna have a really good future, I think.
Feel the sun's glory.
Let's attack with these. I can Pale Cascade if they block with this.
You cannot sway me. Fall, heretic.
They could have their own Pale Cascade here. Now I have another. I mean, and again, you could, semantics are tough to know, but like, I would assume that Arena is incredibly profitable. So like, to assume that Wizards doesn't know what they're doing, I don't think is strictly a fair comparison, because they almost assuredly make boatloads of money. So, I could single combat here because this barrier's going away, but if I end the round, they lose 4 of their 5 mana because they can only bank 1 more. So I think ending the round is pretty profitable here. You have 9 total mana. I think we're going to go ahead and Remembrance to start. Level up Lux and get a Final Spark. Yeah, what LeCarp said is true. Wizards knows what they are doing. We just don't really care for what they're doing currently. Okay, so these two things are both hitting Lux here. Do I trade? I guess I could single combat this, and then Lux lives. They have 5 mana available to here. This could go sideways here still. I like how the eye even shows that I'm gonna get a random card generated from the Remembrance.
Pushing my limits.
There must be tournaments all the time. I don't know that I actually agree with that. I actually think, I think the importance of esports on the impact of a game being successful is often overstated by the community playing it. I have no doubt that, like, people playing this game would really love those types of things, but I also think, like, the presence of an esports factor in terms of driving new players into the game I think is often overstated. Yeah, I also agree with that. I don't know that the lack of esports stuff is necessarily COVID related. It's been very reasonable so far, Alex. The other thing you have to remember, Alex, when looking at the spell composition in our deck is that Solari Priestess often generates you Comet, so that's another 6 mana spell. Yeah, 5+2 and 5+5 also work out just fine a lot of the time. Opponent is playing Jinx Draven, so a very aggressive deck. I'm definitely mulliganing Lux and Daylight Spear. Do I think I live long enough to cast Radiant Guardian and it be relevant, or do I mulligan more aggressively for cheaper Daylight units? I guess I'm attacking on odds, which is a lot of value for keeping Radiant Guardian, I think. I could go either way. It might be right to mulligan this. Those are great hits.
Unyielding light.
Odin's start is slow here without a 1-drop, so we should be in a pretty okay spot. I'm pretty into the challenger here.
And if it helps.
Almost assuredly we'll get card cosmetics sometime soon. I'm honestly kind of surprised we don't have them already. Okay, so now we just Remembrance for 4, right?
Time for the main event.
War is everlasting. So, my opponent passed here, but I'm ahead on board. I win, and more likely to win as the game goes long. So I could get a challenger in with this 5-5, which I think is what they're expecting me to do and why they passed. But I honestly think I'd just end the round here. If they open on attacks next turn, I have Consecrated Strike and Single Combat. I think passing and burning their mana there is great. We basically gain some tempo by doing that.
Time for the money makers. Let's boogie.
Going to 9 here. Wouldn't be surprised if they like Mystic Shot this or something to kill it with Quick Attack, but then I get to deploy a Radiant Guardian with Lifelink, so that seems good for us. Yeah, aggro, mid-range, combo, and control translate definitely very directly. Leishon. If you check out my website and click Runeterra decks, there's a couple of aggro, a couple of mid-range, and a control deck up there. There's also, if you go to Mobilytics, which has a lot of competitive deck lists up there, you'll find a ton of, a ton of different variety of archetypes up there. So I could Consecrated Strike or Bastion to save this, but I actually want it to die because I want to get Radiant Guardian with Lifesteal into play. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask LaShawn. If you're looking to get into Runeterra for the first time, my best recommendation is definitely just play the challenges. The client's free to download and install.
For the fallen.
And the challenges do a good job of teaching you the ins and outs of all the game mechanics. Is there any really bad but funny combo decks? Yeah, a bunch of them.
Strike for justice.
I would like to gain 5, please. Is the second Radiant Guardian a Concession Guardian, chat? Feels like this is gonna be a Concession Guardian.
I'm on the verge of something. I wonder.
Baneslayer Angel seems pretty good. She's not elusive. They can block her.
I brought my books. Hope that's all right.
Rules are made to be broken. Like buildings.
Or people.
You should try blinking sometime.
So I have 10 mana total here. Think we're gonna go ahead and play Daylight Spear here.
Will not set today.
So I'll have Consecrated Strike up.
Let's test my theorem.
I've work to do. God axes need victims.
Hold back the darkness. Stay back.
You're gonna
I want to make a Trundle Bilgewater deck so I can say, behold, Riptide Rex. Alright, back up to a casual 19.
I'm on a roll.
Okay, so Leona is gonna level up, and it's currently always sunny in Hoaglandia. So we're gonna have quite the stunning turn here.
I am the bulwark against darkness.
So normally Daybreak's only the first card you play each turn. I bet my wife just opened Runeterra on my iPad. I bet Christy forgot that I logged out of her account and into my account on the iPad.
Hope burns on.
I should have messaged her.
Bye-bye.
Getting DDoSed by my wife.
Unyielding light. We will not suffer unbelievers.
They will not escape punishment.
You have to log in before you can sign it on a mobile. That's a tilt.
devotion through battle.
New thing to add to the list of why the opponent isn't responding, their wife is using their iPad.
It's Draven time.
Okay, so they're gonna get to make another missile here, because this lets them discard this card. Just gonna pass for now and see what they do.
Now we're cooking.
Yeah, I could have hushed, but is like hushing even that good? Like, this deals 4 and it like pokes my board a little bit, but then I get to Consecrated Strike and just gain my life rate back, right? So like, does it even matter? I have a Star Shaping too. So like, chat's right that I could technically stop that from happening, but like, I don't care.
Coming right up.
Yeah, we're basically on a choose our own adventure book at this point.
Draven down.
Anything helps.
Giant space dragon, I choose you.
Do nothing.
I am a dragon. Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
You're disrupting my research.
It is hard to see elusive through Spell Shield.
Nothing but a footnote.
Maybe they should show elusive as an icon. They are technically not dead yet.
Sunwed.
Opponent has survived. They're at 1.
Stand and fight. Soul Invictus.
I never noticed it had elusive till last week, so it's hard to see. I gotta read the cards. I'm gonna let you in on a dirty little secret, chat. Being literate is busted. We're at 80 LP, so if we win this next one, do we rank up, right? This next one is a rank floor. Shouldn't have punted to the They Who Endure deck, huh? We're gonna be there already. Doesn't have the elusive symbol. I would argue that reading symbols is part of reading. What's literacy? Is it a new keyword? Yes, and it's busted. Alright, so Trundle Tryndamere. This is a War Mother's control deck, I believe, that's been going around. Definitely a full mulligan here. We really want to fast Leona in this matchup. Nailed it.
Raise your weapon, Sunwed.
Howdy, Walzarg.
Punish transgressions.
Morrowind's great, Beansy. There's a reason I stuck on and played it last night. I think I take Meteor Shower to be able to kill the Rinding Stones here.
My spirit shines.
Our strength is yours.
No, actual Morrowind. Been playing. We started a playthrough a couple of days ago of actual Morrowind. Chance real good here. Keeps their thing alive.
Avarosans, stand together.
I guess I chump block here and then play Radiant Guardian.
I fight for the fallen. The dawn has arrived.
With its light, the Solari will unite
Bask
the
in
heavens.
the light's radiance.
I smell a fight.
Ugh. If I would die, I level up instead. Yep. You're gonna be YouTube it tomorrow? Yep, they're already up. Everything I stream or play pretty much goes up there. There's a playlist with all of them as well. Yeah, I don't think we can beat this card.
Warrior goes where they are needed.
So summons the top unit of their deck now, and then every turn for the rest of the game.
Clad in shining sunlight. To shine like the sun, you must burn like it.
Do not stand in my way.
Stay back. You cannot sway me.
I mean, we're a mid-range deck and they're a ramped deck per se, so some things are definitely true across games coming from Magic to Runeterra. Mid-range dice to ramp.
Unite us all.
Is generally the case. Really needed a Lux to maybe be able to keep up.
Living, dead, no matter. Death itself can't stop me.
Believe or burn.
Yeah, like if we had like a Lux that was like generating final sparks while we were casting all these spells, we could maybe be okay, but
This is but one sunset.
all right. We'll play until we rank up or until we lose one more. So we'll play one or two more. Yeah, I made a mistake, Kenix. I forgot that Dude Light donated for this yesterday. I think this is again a matchup where I want fast Leona.
Ours is the one true light.
New recruit reporting in. Charge?
No mercy for heretics.
So soon.
Deal 3, trade 1 for 1. Pretty good rate.
It's dangerous out there.
This deck tries Sunburst. I think Sunburst is too slow and clunky. I just want Falling Comet for a Garen.
Approaching the
They are 100% playing the For the Fallen deck.
The dawn has arrived. With its light, the glorious light rains down.
To play It's Always Sunny in Hoaglandia and level our thing up here, which is great.
Daylight everlasting.
To shine like the sun, you must burn like it.
One banner, one destiny. A symbol worth fighting for.
Wow, I'm surprised they didn't open attacks. I guess making their things bigger is pretty good here. If I play Morning Light, I get to stun 2 things here, right? Is how this works.
Strike while the planets align.
Of course she's leveled. I'm playing a Daylight deck.
Sunlight burns in our weapons.
It's a quality fog. That's a Lux.
Everywhere I go, the light follows.
The light follows.
Bless the faithful and fear the heretics.
See ya, the heretics. No, you only
It's the thing for you.
trigger stun once, chat, for people not familiar. Okay, so we put this here.
Leave a dent.
We put this here. We consecrated strike you with you and you. And then we single combat you to you. I probably want to do this in the other order though, right?
La 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 la. La 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 la.
Risky if they single combat back. Okay, what's my play? So you're saying my line's not great against single combat. What's your play that's good against single combat? Please share with the class.
No
Yeah, it's definitely a situation where we're committed. We don't have a better line.
My whole life for this.
This is we're making this play and we're hoping it's good enough. And if they have single combat and a rally, we're just dead.
Watching.
Big fan of play scared and die personally. That was the option we had. We could have played scared and died.
Our sun will not set today.
Sunlight blinds.
For king and country.
Clad in shining sunlight. Glorious light rains down. Devotion through battle.
This is a free attack.
You would test my steel?
Stay resolute. I come for the show.
Fall! Hear it!
I will not falter.
Injustice!
We gotta do this, right?
Ready to do my part.
Show them what we're made of!
That'll do, pig. So, we would have gotten to the next ranking if I hadn't punted our match against, or our game against the Who Endure. Hey, Lad Fan for Life, thanks for the 5 months. That was fine. Felt very mid-rangey. We had some really good aggressive draws where you, like, level Leona early. I think the quality of our average draw was maybe a little on the low side if we didn't hit Leona super early. Definitely felt like we were floundering around a little bit, especially in the matchups where, like, we needed to be the beatdown. It didn't feel like we were able to do that. Rally's not a card, it's a keyword. So Relentless Pursuit's the card, and Rally just means you get an extra attack token. So, yeah, I kind of felt like, I think I prefer, personally, the Lux Ash deck, because that deck feels like it's more cohesive when it doesn't have its champions, if that makes sense. Like, it has other things that have Frostbite synergies with it. And that deck also has Babbling Bird to draw Ash more consistently, whereas this deck was basically just planning on mulliganing to Leona, which was good when we had it. But in the games where we didn't hit this quickly, they felt kind of bad. All right, at any rate, we're going to do a second Runeterra deck this morning. this afternoon, whatever time of day it is. I'm going to hit a quick ad roll while I get everything set up and flipped over. When we come back in just a few minutes, we are going to try out a Trundle Harrowing deck. So be back in just a few minutes. Thanks for hanging out today, folks. Don't go anywhere.